Atomic Habits teaches that real transformation does not come from one big dramatic change, but from hundreds of tiny improvements repeated daily. The word atomic means something very small, yet extremely powerful when combined. In the context of life, your habits are like atoms. Individually they seem insignificant, but together they shape your identity, your future, and your destiny. For the American audience, living in a fast-paced, competitive world, this message is powerful because it proves that success is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted, but for those who master consistency. Every small action, waking up early, reading 10 pages, exercising for 20 minutes, choosing healthy food, speaking positively, acts like a vote for the person you want to become. Over time, these small votes compound into extraordinary results. Just like interest in a bank account, the book explains that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money grows when invested wisely, your character, health, skills, and mindset grow when you invest in the right habits. In the United States, where people often look for quick success, overnight fame, and instant results, Atomic Habits reminds us that true growth is slow, quiet, and invisible in the beginning. You may not see progress after one day or 1 week, but when you stay consistent for months and years, the difference becomes life-changing. This principle teaches patience, discipline, and faith in the process. Success is not about massive effort once, it is about small effort every day. James Clear introduces the idea that habits are not about what you want to achieve, but about who you want to become. Goals are temporary, but identity is permanent. Many people in America set goals like, I want to lose weight, I want to be rich, or I want to be successful, but they fail because they never change their self-image. Atomic Habits teaches that when you start seeing yourself as a healthy person, a disciplined person, a learner, or a leader, your actions naturally follow. Every habit is a reflection of your identity. When you change your identity, your habits change automatically. The book also explains the power of systems over goals. Goals define the result, but systems define the process. In business, sports, education, and personal growth, Americans often focus only on winning, but Atomic Habits shows that winners and losers often have the same goals. The difference is in their daily systems. A student who studies daily, an entrepreneur who improves skills daily, and a creator who practices daily will always outperform someone who only dreams big without a system. Systems remove dependence on motivation and replace it with structure and routine. Finally, the book highlights that success is delayed, not denied. Many people quit because they do not see immediate results, but they are actually standing in the valley of disappointment, where effort has been invested but results have not yet appeared. Atomic Habits teaches that this is the most dangerous phase because most people give up just before the breakthrough. For the U.S. audience, where comparison on social media creates pressure, this lesson is crucial. Stay focused on your own journey, trust the process, and keep improving by 1% every day. That 1%, repeated daily, will change your entire life. Atomic Habits explains that every habit follows a simple 4-step cycle: cue, craving, response, and reward. This loop runs in the background of our lives, shaping our behavior without us even realizing it. In American daily life, from checking phones in the morning to grabbing coffee on the way to work, these patterns repeat automatically. The cue triggers the brain, the craving creates desire, the response is the action, and the reward satisfies the need. Understanding this loop gives you power, because when you control the process, you can design better habits and break harmful ones. The book teaches that environment is more powerful than motivation. Most people in the U.S. believe success depends on willpower, but James Clear shows that willpower is unreliable and temporary. Your surroundings silently shape your behavior. If healthy food is visible, you eat better. If books are on your desk, you read more. If your phone is in another room, you focus deeper. By designing your environment, you make good habits easier and bad habits harder. This is how discipline becomes automatic. Another powerful idea is habit stacking, which means attaching a new habit to an existing one. For example, after brushing your teeth, you meditate for 2 minutes. After making coffee, you read 1 page. In a busy American lifestyle, where time always feels limited, habit stacking allows growth without extra effort. It turns daily routines into opportunities for self-improvement, slowly building a life of discipline and progress. Atomic Habits also emphasizes the role of immediate rewards. The human brain is wired to seek instant pleasure, which is why unhealthy habits feel tempting. The book suggests making good habits satisfying in the short term, even if their real rewards come later. For example, tracking progress, celebrating small wins, and visual reminders can create motivation. In a culture driven by instant gratification, learning to enjoy the process becomes the key to long-term success. The book explains that breaking bad habits requires making them invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. This reverse strategy helps people regain control over addictions, distractions, and procrastination. For Americans struggling with digital overload, social media, and unhealthy routines, this method offers a practical path to freedom. By changing the cues and rewards, behavior changes naturally. Discipline becomes a result of smart design, not constant struggle. Atomic Habits explains that making a habit obvious is the first law of behavior change. When cues are visible, actions become automatic. In American homes and workplaces, where distractions are everywhere, clarity is power. A calendar on the wall, a to-do list on the desk, gym clothes laid out the night before, these small signals remind the brain of what matters. The book teaches that success often depends not on strength, but on visibility. What you see, you do. What you hide, you forget. The second law is to make habits attractive. Atomic Habits teaches that repetition is the real teacher of the brain. You do not need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Every repetition strengthens neural pathways, turning effort into automatic behavior. In the United States, where performance pressure is high, people often quit when they are not perfect. The book reminds us that progress is built by showing up, not by being flawless. The book introduces the idea of the plateau of latent potential, explaining that results are often delayed. Like ice warming from 25 to 31 degrees, change is happening even when you cannot see it. In American culture, where fast success stories dominate, this lesson is crucial. Patience is power. Breakthrough comes after persistence. Another key lesson is the role of identity-based habits. When you focus on becoming the type of person who acts a certain way, behavior changes naturally. A writer writes, an athlete trains, a leader leads. For U.S. professionals and students, this mindset builds confidence and self-respect. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. Atomic Habits also explains the importance of social environment. You become like the people you spend time with. In America's network-driven culture, surrounding yourself with disciplined, ambitious, and positive individuals raises your standards automatically. Your habits are shaped by your tribe. The book concludes this section by emphasizing that success is not a single event, but a lifestyle. Every day is a chance to cast a vote for your future self. Small choices, repeated consistently, define your destiny. This philosophy empowers anyone, regardless of background, to build an extraordinary life through ordinary actions. Atomic Habits deeply explains that consistency beats intensity, and that the true power of change lies not in heroic effort but in quiet repetition. In the American lifestyle, where people often push themselves with bursts of motivation, joining gyms in January, starting businesses with excitement, or promising dramatic life changes, most fail because intensity fades, but systems remain. James Clear teaches that when an action becomes part of your identity and daily rhythm, it no longer depends on motivation. It becomes as natural as breathing. A person who runs 1 mile every day for a year will outperform someone who runs 10 miles once a month. The small daily commitment trains not only the body but the mind, building trust with oneself. Over time, this trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes unstoppable momentum. The book also emphasizes the concept of never miss twice. Everyone fails, everyone slips, and everyone has bad days. But what separates successful people from unsuccessful ones is not perfection, it is recovery. In the U.S., where pressure to be perfect creates guilt and burnout, this lesson is powerful. Missing one workout, one study session, or one productive day does not destroy progress. But missing twice starts a new habit, the habit of quitting. Atomic Habits teaches forgiveness combined with discipline. Fall once, stand up immediately. This mindset builds resilience, emotional strength, and long-term consistency. Another profound idea is the relationship between habits and self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-image grows stronger. When you wake up early as planned, when you read instead of scrolling, when you exercise instead of making excuses, you send a signal to your subconscious, I am a disciplined person. In American culture, where confidence and self-belief play a huge role in career and leadership, this internal trust becomes a competitive advantage. Habits are not just about results, they are about becoming the kind of person who can be trusted by themselves and others. Atomic Habits also talks about the danger of goals without systems. A goal can make you temporarily happy, but a system can make you permanently successful. Winning a promotion, losing weight, or earning money brings short-term satisfaction, but without a daily process, the results fade. In the U.S. corporate and entrepreneurial world, people who build routines, learning daily, networking regularly, improving skills continuously, outgrow those who only chase milestones. Systems create stability, and stability creates freedom. When your systems are strong, success becomes inevitable. Finally, this section teaches that habits shape destiny silently. You do not wake up one day and suddenly become successful or unsuccessful. You become what your daily routine has been training you to be for years. The food you eat, the thoughts you think, the people you listen to, the actions you repeat, these tiny choices build your future brick by brick. For the American audience, living in a land of opportunity, Atomic Habits delivers a powerful truth: opportunity rewards preparation. And preparation is nothing but disciplined habits practiced every single day. Atomic Habits teaches that true transformation begins with identity, not goals. Many people in America chase results, losing weight, earning more money, or achieving recognition, but they fail because they never change who they believe they are. Identity is the lens through which every habit flows. When you adopt the belief, I am a healthy person, you no longer struggle to go to the gym or choose nutritious food. The actions align naturally with your self-image. Similarly, I am a disciplined professional creates focus, prioritization, and productivity without relying on motivation. James Clear emphasizes that the most powerful habit change occurs when behavior is anchored to identity because beliefs influence automatic decisions. Over time, every tiny choice reinforces this identity, building a life that aligns seamlessly with the person you intend to be, without requiring heroic effort. The book explains that small habits, though seemingly insignificant, have a compounding effect that can transform life over years. In a culture obsessed with big wins, Americans often overlook the quiet power of tiny improvements repeated consistently. Reading 10 pages daily, writing one paragraph, saving a small percentage of income, or walking a few blocks may seem trivial in the short term, but when repeated, they create exponential growth. This principle mirrors financial compounding. Small deposits grow into wealth over decades. Similarly, consistent microhabits accumulate into mastery, skills, health, and character. Atomic Habits shows that tiny improvements, when compounded, outperform occasional massive efforts every single time. Another critical lesson is the role of environment in shaping habits. James Clear argues that willpower is limited and unreliable, but environmental design is powerful and enduring. For Americans juggling digital distractions, endless notifications, and high-pressure schedules, designing surroundings that promote positive behavior becomes essential. Placing books on the nightstand encourages reading, leaving workout clothes ready motivates exercise, hiding junk food reduces temptation. Environment cues behaviors before conscious thought, turning intention into action. Habits are thus less about motivation and more about smart design. When the environment supports your identity, habits become effortless. Atomic Habits also emphasizes the importance of immediate rewards. Humans are wired to respond to instant gratification, which is why long-term benefits are often ignored. James Clear teaches how to make good habits satisfying in the short term to reinforce repetition. This can be as simple as tracking progress visually, celebrating small wins, or pairing habits with enjoyable activities. For example, listening to your favorite podcast while running or rewarding yourself after completing a challenging task creates positive reinforcement. In a society focused on speed and instant feedback, understanding and leveraging satisfaction ensures habits stick and momentum grows naturally. Finally, the book teaches the power of tracking and measurement. What gets measured gets managed, James Clear writes, and this is especially true for habits. Keeping a record of streaks, marking a calendar, or journaling progress transforms vague intentions into visible evidence of growth. For Americans seeking self-improvement, this method provides accountability, clarity, and motivation. Tracking progress creates momentum and signals the brain that efforts are effective, which fuels confidence and persistence. Over time, this accumulation of consistent, tracked effort reshapes life in profound, lasting ways, proving that small, deliberate actions are the ultimate key to extraordinary results. Atomic Habits emphasizes that habits are the invisible architecture of our lives. Most people in the United States look at achievements, success, or wealth and assume they are the result of extraordinary talent or luck, but James Clear teaches that they are built through countless small, consistent actions. These micro-decisions, choosing water over soda, taking stairs instead of the elevator, writing one sentence a day, form the foundation of identity, skill, and character. Over time, the accumulation of these actions compounds, creating a trajectory that is almost unstoppable. What seems trivial on a daily basis becomes transformational over months and years. The book makes it clear that life is not a single dramatic moment but the sum of repeated behaviors, and mastering these behaviors is the true path to freedom, success, and fulfillment. The book also explains the power of habit tracking as a psychological tool that creates clarity, accountability, and motivation. Humans crave evidence of progress, and the simple act of marking a calendar or recording actions transforms abstract intentions into tangible results. In American culture, where self-improvement is highly valued, yet distractions are constant, this method allows individuals to see momentum visually. Each checkmark is a small victory, a signal to the brain that effort matters, reinforcing identity and encouraging consistency. Over time, tracking creates a rhythm, a personal system of reinforcement that not only builds discipline but rewires the mind to value effort and progress over temporary discomfort or resistance. Atomic Habits emphasizes that breaking bad habits is as crucial as forming good ones, and the approach is rooted in behavioral design, not willpower. The book teaches that making bad habits invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying neutralizes their pull. For Americans facing constant temptations, junk food, social media, binge watching, overspending, this framework is practical and empowering. By redesigning cues and rewards, destructive behaviors gradually lose their automatic influence, while positive behaviors become the default. James Clear shows that this strategy works because humans respond more to immediate feedback than distant consequences, and aligning the environment with long-term goals ensures sustainable transformation. The book also highlights the significance of identity-driven habits over outcome-driven habits. Goals define results, identity defines who you become. This distinction is vital in the U.S., where people often pursue achievements without changing the underlying self-image, leading to short-lived victories and recurring failure. For example, a person might set a goal to run a marathon, but unless they internalize the identity of a runner, motivation may falter after obstacles appear. Atomic Habits teaches that when behaviors align with identity, I am a disciplined, healthy person, or I am a creative thinker, actions flow naturally, decisions become automatic, and habits are resilient to stress, boredom, and temptation. Finally, Atomic Habits explains that the most profound results are often invisible at first. The effects of habits compound slowly, creating delayed gratification. In the American environment of instant success stories and social comparison, this principle is revolutionary. Change is happening behind the scenes even when results are not visible. Whether it is mastering a skill, saving money, or improving health, the effort invested quietly reshapes neural pathways, character, and mindset. The book teaches patience, persistence, and faith in the process, emphasizing that small daily choices, when repeated consistently, eventually lead to exponential results that can surpass expectations and redefine a person's life trajectory entirely. Atomic Habits teaches that systems are more important than goals because they determine whether success is sustainable. In the American context, many people chase milestones, earning a degree, getting a promotion, or buying a house, but without daily systems, these achievements are often temporary and stressful. James Clear emphasizes that systems are the processes and routines that make results inevitable. For example, a writer who writes every morning, regardless of inspiration, eventually publishes a book. A runner who logs miles daily, no matter the weather, builds endurance. These systems remove dependence on fleeting motivation, and over time, they shape identity, skills, and habits so thoroughly that success becomes automatic. The beauty of systems is that they work quietly in the background, turning ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The book also emphasizes the power of tiny improvements compounded over time. Clear introduces the concept of getting 1% better every day. Though a 1% improvement seems insignificant, repeated over months and years, it leads to extraordinary results. In American life, where the obsession is often on instant transformation, this principle is counterintuitive but powerful. Tiny daily improvements in health, finances, relationships, or skills accumulate silently, much like snowflakes forming an avalanche. Atomic Habits encourages readers to focus not on perfection but on consistency, showing that small, manageable habits are easier to maintain and more effective than grand, unsustainable efforts. Progress is invisible at first, but it compounds into undeniable success. Another critical insight is the role of environment in shaping identity and habits. Humans are highly influenced by the cues around them, often subconsciously. In the U.S., where advertisements, social media, and peer pressures constantly bombard individuals, designing a supportive environment is crucial for building good habits. Placing books where you can see them, keeping healthy snacks accessible, limiting social media triggers, and surrounding yourself with motivated, disciplined people subtly shapes behavior. Atomic Habits teaches that environmental design often trumps willpower, and smart design turns desired actions into effortless default behaviors. When the environment aligns with identity, good habits flourish naturally, and bad habits fade without struggle. The book also highlights the psychology of rewards and cravings. Habits form because the brain seeks immediate gratification, and good habits must satisfy some craving or reward to stick. Atomic Habits demonstrates how to leverage this by making habits enjoyable or associating them with positive emotions. For example, listening to a favorite song while cleaning or pairing exercise with social interaction transforms tasks from chores into pleasures. In American culture, where distractions are constant and instant gratification is prevalent, understanding this mechanism is key. When habits become satisfying, repetition is effortless, and motivation, although unreliable on its own, becomes supported by natural reinforcement. Finally, Atomic Habits reveals that the path to lasting change is identity-driven, gradual, and consistent. Success is not about radical leaps but about the alignment of small choices with the person you want to become. Every action, no matter how small, is a vote for your future self. Whether in personal health, career, relationships, or finance, the cumulative effect of Atomic Habits transforms lives quietly but powerfully. For Americans navigating distraction, stress, and constant comparison, this message is revolutionary. Mastery is not achieved through motivation or talent alone but through deliberate, consistent actions that reflect who you are becoming. Change is incremental, invisible at first, but unstoppable over time. Atomic Habits teaches that habits are a reflection of identity. Every choice we make reinforces the type of person we believe we are. For Americans, who often juggle careers, family, social expectations, and personal growth, this principle is crucial. Your habits define your character more than your words or intentions. Drinking water regularly, exercising daily, reading consistently, and completing small tasks are not just actions, they are declarations of identity. Over time, these actions create an unshakable self-image. James Clear explains that identity-driven habits are far more powerful than goal-driven habits because they embed themselves in the subconscious, turning desired behaviors into automatic expressions of who you are. Rather than temporary efforts to achieve external results, the book also emphasizes the power of compounding effects in life. Small daily habits, repeated consistently, do not merely add, they multiply. Saving a few dollars daily leads to financial security decades later. Reading a few pages each day creates expertise and wisdom over time. Exercising 20 minutes a day builds physical endurance and health. Atomic Habits illustrates this using relatable American examples. A professional who commits to learning one new skill daily will outperform colleagues who wait for opportunities to arise. A student who studies consistently will outperform those cramming the night before exams. The compound effect demonstrates that tiny, repeated actions shape long-term outcomes far more than rare, dramatic efforts. Another critical insight is the strategic role of environment in habit formation. Humans are wired to follow cues, and the surroundings strongly influence behavior, often unconsciously. In the U.S., where distractions such as smartphones, social media, fast food, and instant entertainment are everywhere, Atomic Habits emphasizes designing your environment to support desired behaviors. For example, keeping a water bottle on your desk encourages hydration, leaving running shoes by the door ensures exercise, limiting notifications reduces digital distraction. By making good habits easier and bad habits harder, the environment works silently to reinforce desired behavior. This approach eliminates reliance on willpower and makes transformation automatic.